And we're live! Hello and welcome to Maddie ALLin Live in the middle of the day with special guest Sticker Guy. Welcome!
Oh, wow! Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I've been so excited to have you on the show, and
Yes.
because you are famous and or infamous in the Hex world now, ever since,
Yeah,
was it
I
the
don't even
Zurich
know it.
meetup?
Ah!
So what is it that you're known for here in the Hex community?
Well, you tell me. I think people know me for talking with Richard Hart, which at the time for me was just like, well, I bought this coin. I'm very excited. I really want to know more about it. But let's just ask that guy. He's doing a meetup. And so I went to the meetup and I took a lot of time from everybody. And in hindsight, I'm very embarrassed. And I kind of want to say sorry to everybody that was there because I took so much of our valuable time.
Well,
But
on behalf of the community, we do not accept your apology because you did a great job, okay? And I have an opinion on this, and I'm going to let it be known. All the trolls out there, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm a Hex OG. There's lots of other people here, including, listen, Richard, during the whole time you were asking questions, was encouraging you. He was telling you your questions are great.
yes.
He doesn't say that to everybody. Guess what? He tells people to shut up sometimes. He tells people their questions are bad. Listen, Richard doesn't hold any punches. And so I definitely I saw you were excited. You seemed the same as when I talked to Richard for the first time. I was so excited about the technology and about the questions that I almost I didn't act like I was in front of somebody famous.
Yeah. That I kind of do this. I want to do this to everybody. I don't want to treat anybody special, and I neither want to put myself under somebody, and I also don't want to put myself over somebody. So I think being on the same I height is the best way of communication. And Richard is proving every time that he's such a nice, honorable person. And I mean, I learn as much as I can about cryptocurrencies and investing, and I only started like 6 months ago with the GameStop and AMC squeeze. I was one of the Reddit crowd people. So, well, I don't want to call myself Moon Boy because I didn't go that hard in all the meme and shit coins, but well, at least that was the time when I joined this whole space. So I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah. So you saw Richard as somebody who was honorable, but you were coming into the crypto space only 6 months ago from a background
Yes.
of being lured in
Thank
by
you.
these
Yeah.
AMC like Moon Boy things.
Yeah, so I don't have that much time in the market in general because my whole life I was doing different stuff and I was not thinking about investing it anyway. I maybe bought some gold because my grandfather or father told me about it, but I didn't go into the rabbit hole. So the deeper I got, I found out, well, the AMC GameStop squeeze was like, let's all buy the stuff. It will go up because of reasons. And then it happened. And there were like 2 days where they were very, very exciting. And afterwards, we were like, okay, now it's weekend. What are we going to do? So we went into crypto and then the whole universe opened. And I learned how Bitcoin works, how decentralization works. Then we got into the inflation stuff. What is the Fed doing? What is the European Central Bank fucking up all the time, manipulating data, and all this crazy stuff that is actually happening in the world, but nobody is talking about it because, especially in Germany, people don't talk about money.
It's taboo.
They talk about it. Yeah, it's kind of taboo, and I don't like it. I don't like taboos in general. There's a difference between respecting somebody's privacy and having a taboo, because privacy is like if you don't want to talk about your money because you had bad experience with investing, or yeah, I can accept that. I don't need to talk. I don't need to press it into you. But my stepdad, he's a nice guy, but if I tell him how investing works, he says, no, you have no idea. But in the last 6 months, I definitely, well, not definitely, but I feel like I know more about than he does. So I try to explain him. I try to teach him. Everybody in my space, like, guys, inflation is so high. Please protect your money. And everybody's, no, nothing is happening. Oh, wait, this is more expensive. Oh, what? Wood is now, the price of wood has tripled in 3 weeks. How could that happen? So going further, I figured out Bitcoin. I figured out Ethereum and all the other shit coins. Then I went into trading like a lot of guys. I mean, the theoretical potential of trading, and especially with leverage, is insane to understand. So I lost a lot of money, and well, it could be worse. I think I got out of trading at a point where I can still handle the loss, so I didn't lose everything. But I always had this reminder in my head where when the 2017 Bitcoin bull run was and everybody was talking about it, I was still too young to invest and to understand. I had different problems at the time, and I don't feel bad about not getting in earlier because, well, I had just different kind of stuffs in my life to do. So, but I remembered that there's a lot more than just a double. So I kept searching, and it felt like I was looking for Richard, even not knowing what I was looking for. And Richard was looking for me, even though he didn't know he was looking for me, because Richard wants to make the world a better place. And
yes,
with Hex, that is occurring. Right now, we're in a 70% dip, I think, at the moment. And the only thing
welcome to Hex.
Yeah, it's awesome. I experienced the 50% Bitcoin drop. Like I basically bought the top. Like, how else could it be? But the longer I'm in crypto, I realized buying the top is not the problem. Like, the problem is selling a bottom. So with Hex,
Correct.
and with staking Hex, I'm unable to sell, because if I end stake, I lose everything. I don't want to lose everything, and I get passive income with T-shares. So that's amazing. And then everything is designed to pump the price. It is the more I learn, the better it gets. And I still don't find that one thing that's the problem. I'm looking for it, but I don't find it. It's awesome.
Well, yeah. Keep looking and report back as soon as you find something. We've been looking for almost 2 years and haven't found anything. We just keep finding more and more interesting things. And so I really appreciate you telling your story, and I want to hear more. I want to explore some of these threads that you're opening up. For example,
I made some. Wait, you can't really see, but I already. Oh man, wait. Okay, so I made a list. No, can't see.
Awesome.
It's a paper and there's a lot of words, so I made a list of stuff.
I had a feeling you would come prepared.
I try really hard.
That's awesome.
When I was younger, or sometimes still, I play video game, and people always hate me for tryharding. But what's the point of living if you don't try really hard?
That's right.
I see really no problem with tryharding.
We want to hear from the crowd. What do people think? Freddie Quotes says this is going to be awesome.
Wow,
Crypto
Freddie
Games
Quotes
Club.
is watching. Hello.
Hexakin Greenhorn, loving these sale prices.
Oh, hello.
What's up, everyone? Maddie and Sticker Guy. Everybody's just shouting Sticker Guy. Yay. Ash. No need to say sorry. You asked great questions. Everybody's excited to see you here. They're surprised that you're popping up again, but I've been hoping to have you on for quite some time now. So.
Oh yeah, thank you. Dude,
And
I love,
hit the like
I
and
love your
subscribe button,
car.
everybody. Hit the like and subscribe, and then go down in the show notes and subscribe to Sticker Guy, because we got
Yeah,
his
I have
YouTube channel on there. We got a link to his store so you can buy a sticker, and
feel free
your
to.
Twitter.
And
Dr.
stickers
Moore's
are
here.
awesome.
You did a great job this morning with Hex Asians. I was laughing. Okay, so Dr. Moore, I'm just gonna tell people to go watch like the first 10 minutes of the episode, because you had me laughing. I'm not gonna give away your joke. Is that people telling? You, yeah.
You know, I'm a little bit proud. I was here at the top. I'm still here at a bottom. Feels great. I was never more relaxed. First, I've never experienced such a kind of dip, and I've never been more relaxed. You know, with trading,
Wow.
you're down thousands of dollars. With leverage, you're scared, and you put more in and more out, and it's so much pain and panic, and you hope that the price don't dip more, and you can't sleep, and you're staying awake all night and looking at the price every 5 minutes on a 15-minute chart. That it's just so much stress. With Hex, I look at the price very often, and I still draw my funny lines because it's fun doing. But if it dips, I'll buy more. It's great.
Yeah.
So the Hex opportunity, like, first 2 years is not much. Like, Bitcoin is here for 12, 13 years, and the internet is going crazy about it. Everybody wants it. So we just have to wait. And even if it goes sideways for 15 years, which is nearly impossible to imagine, we still make profit because of staking. It's insane.
Yes. Yeah. It's that good, right? Hex is that good. And I love that you're able to give your testimony even at the point where you're down more than 50% maybe, and you bought the top, and now we're in a really good pullback. And here we are, having this conversation. I wish that I knew about the community, and I wish I was surrounded by so many believers whenever I did my first 70% dip in Hex, because I would have bought way more than I did. I was, still learning, just like everybody is, right?
Yes. So I actually buying the dip, it feels great, but I still need to find the balance between I actually need money to survive, like to buy food and to go to, I don't know, go anywhere with my girlfriend. Tomorrow we want to go into what is it called? It's a big place where you can swim.
Water
it's
park?
such an easy word. Yeah, water park. We want to go to a water park. But if I'm in this conflict, like, do I want to go to the water park, or do I want 50 more Hex? Like, you want 50 more Hex, but if you don't go to the water park, your life sucks. So you also want to go to the water park, and it's at the moment, especially within this dip, it's kind of hard to find the right balance between how much do I save and invest, and how much do I need for a living. So I need to balance that one better out.
I completely understand, and I was in that situation for about 2 years where I was extremely limiting the amount of money that I was spending because I was going through a saving phase. And at the time, I was buying Bitcoin because that's what I believed would be the best store of value, and Hex was just coming out. And then investing in Hex again was the situation where I believed in it, and I believed for every dollar I save now, I'll have $5, later on, or $10 later on. And that was enough to really incentivize me to not eat out, to prepare my own food. And that caused me to eat more healthy. And then just
I'm
then
working
another
on
thing
that.
that I focused on was like increasing my productivity, because if I was working more and having more side hustles and stuff, then that would take up my time and it would make me feel busy and some sense of satisfaction. But then I would still take some gratification, you know, because we do have, you know, because if the girlfriend wants to do something and I want to do something, then that's important. Luckily, also I chose girlfriends during my accumulation phase that were understood what I was doing. At least maybe they weren't saving as much as I was, but they were like at least understanding, oh, he's got a purpose, right? And they can respect that.
Yeah. Mine can too. I got mine into Bitcoin, and she is now, I think she has 50% gains. So
Nice.
for her, seeing some profit and seeing some profit, I think it is very good for her also to understand what Hex is. She right now is in the situation that she has a lot of, well, not a lot, but she has money on her bank account where she is saving to pay back her student loans. But for her, the risk of investing it in crypto and waiting some years is too high. So she rather is taking the hit of inflation, because she already knows she already has the money she needs to pay back to the government, and if she pays back everything at once, she'll get a discount. So I understand what she's doing and why she's doing, and I don't want to push her, because sometimes I can get a little too let's say energetic, where I like, no, it is the best product, and people like, it can't be. People saying this for years, but every now and then there's like a bubble, or .com bubble, or 2008, where it's like, this is the new best thing. And I think at one point there will maybe something that is better than Hex. I see no reason why there shouldn't be. Maybe Pulse Chain is better. Maybe Pulse Chain performs better in price. But right now we have Hex. So until something better is, I need to preach and tell the people about Hex and how it works. But it's such a large topic, because telling somebody that has no financial education that they should buy an imaginary thing on the internet is, at least in my area, nearly impossible, because people don't understand and they kind of don't want to understand.
Yeah, and I run into this as I dive deeper into the psychology of onboarding, because that's something I'm really interested in. And I've run a lot of different experiments with people in my personal life, just whether it's gifting them $100 worth of Hex and then like keeping them updated on it, other people not updating them at all. I mean, there are a couple of people that got Uniswap airdrops, and now they have 1 million Hex locked for 10 years. And so what does that mean for them psychologically? And I'm curious to see like how much they learn about Hex, like as the time period draws through. But really the question is, how can we onboard people, especially the people that we care about? And one observation that I've had is, if we at least get people in with like $100, even if you're saving, 1% of your student loan, or less than that, 0.5% of your portfolio, if that's in Hex or that's in Pulse, then then that can be really helpful to people. So
I that's a great idea. I'm preparing it for Pulse. So I made a list with literally everybody I know, and then I think about how many kids does that guy have, and how many children will these people most likely have, and then I'll create Ethereum address for them, and I think giving each person around $10 worth of Hex should be enough to let them realize what is happening. But then it is impossible for me to do that because one Ethereum transaction is around $60 to $90. So I have to wait until Pulse chain, and then I think, why should I give them Hex if I can give them Pulse? But I think that the time has to decide what I should give the person.
Give them $1 of Pulse and $10 a Hex. How about that? And then when they get their 10,000 X in Pulse, then they'll be sitting pretty good. And then when they get their 100 X in Hex, that'll be good too.
Yeah, so I think I understand that people don't want to get in this in the topic because of the taboo thing and because they don't, crypto is difficult to understand. You need to download a MetaMask wallet, then you need to, or even have it on a ledger, then you need to buy the things on an app, and then you need to send money there, and then you need to wait, and then you have to go to this website and swap it with that, but be careful not to do it the wrong, and be careful with this and then there, and stake it this time with that much, and then gas fees and only Sunday nights. That's so complicated. How should somebody understand? So I think I have to do it for them, and then I have to wait, and then probably later I also have to do it for them. But I think it just needs a lot of time, maybe years, to actually come.
We're like myself and a lot of other Hexicans are working on tools and pitches and events and everything in between to speed up the process of helping. Basically, if you've seen the movie Inception, that's what we want.
Hundreds of times. I love
that's what we want to do to like the general population is to like. So, for example, I've been at some of these Hex meetups and just talking for hours with OGs and stuff, and even new people. Like one point I raised was, well, if the general public, if they want NFTs, and if they are so motivated to buy a worthless JPEG that they learn how to use MetaMask and they have a MetaMask account, I will sell them a $1,000 Hex NFT and then send them $1,000 worth of Hex once I see what their address is.
Dude, once
that.
Once they disable the screenshot function, these JPEGs will be worth so much more.
That's a good point. But you can see what I'm saying. There are ways to bring people in that I have not heard anybody discuss. Like, if some, like altruistic person or just somebody, I mean, what I'm talking about doesn't even have to be a business. For OGs, like we want to work with anybody who's out there, like even if we're not selling our Hex, even if we're not paying millions of dollars to developers, like we have developers in the community that can help us to solve the problems that exist to onboard the next million people. And when I spent 12 days in the Ukraine with Steph and a couple of other guys, with Gary and Kareem, we were all problem solving. We're sharing our visions, and Steph actually worked. He had a team of, I'm probably gonna get the numbers a little bit off, but like 25 people worked for him at Google, and he was a project lead on an app that taught kids how to read.
Wow.
And they got over 20 million downloads. And so he knows how to do that. Like, and that's what he's going to do with Sticker app. That's my prediction. That's what he's predicting, right? Like he's going to bring 20 million people to use Hex, right? And that's just one guy building his dream team.
Yes.
We got lots of people who want to basically teach people about their financial freedom. But I agree with you that whether it's the complexity that throws people off, which Pulse Chain will solve partially, but also if you think about people who are in the legacy system, they are staked in a way because their default and their unit of account is fiat currency. So for example, when your friends were not interested in learning about inflation and then it started to hit, they did not say the value of our currency went down. They said the price of wood went up. The price of wood didn't, those both are true, but it's what your frame of reference is. And when somebody's unit of account is money, and money stores value, and they just assume that it stores the same purchasing power, and then it surprises them when the price of something goes up and they don't have that power anymore, they blame the product, they blame the wood, they don't blame the money.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
That's not their fault, because they just simply don't understand it.
But even if you try to tell them, they don't want to understand because it threatens their worldview. Because the unit of account as a psychological, defense mechanism is so important, it's so big that I don't want to hear the sad story, right? The doom porn that the money I've used in my whole life is not going to be used in the future. And I think subconsciously that blocks people from wanting to get in because it's like a whole new universe and it's unfamiliar, and unfamiliar money is an oxymoron, right? Because money has to be familiar, otherwise it doesn't store value. So Hex storing value better than fiat money is going to be tricky to explain to people, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, but only these 40% APY, I think that should get more people in, at least that's ridiculous. How should that work? And then, well, at least on my side, I try to explain what smart contracts are, why it is working, how staking works, and then but coming closer to the actual point of, so there's so many things that are coming together to understand one thing. And well, I think I got a little lost.
Your intuition of showing people instead of just explaining to them is the same conclusion that I reached.
Yes.
Showing people allows them to understand in a way that they don't otherwise.
Yeah, proving to them that it is working. Even though we're down this much, I still generate more hacks. So I'm not that much down as I would be, because I'm getting more hacks every day with my shares. So that is.
And you're valuing your wealth in Hex, not the last traded USD value of your Hex.
Yeah, and in that form, I'm not stressed out about a 70% dip.
So your numeraire or unit of account is up, not down.
Yes. So maybe that's a good point to ask. How do you value time? Because on my side, I think because Hex is confronting everybody, or every Hexican, so deep with time, and never before Hex I had the ability to think this far in the future. I was always living in the reality, in the moment, and that was nice, but I never really thought about what do I want to do. I just kind of did the thing, maybe the thing my father did, and then I maybe did something different, and now I'm working, and I never had the ability to think in the future. And now, the first time I bought Hex, I immediately staked it for 5555. So I thought okay, this guy on YouTube is explaining me how his coin works. let's try it out. So there was an entry fee, and now I'm staked 555, so I'm a Hexican, and now I can understand better how it feels. And then you start thinking like, well, 15 years, that's a long time. How old will I be in 15 years? I never thought of that. How old will I be in 15 years? And then I'm like, oh wow, that is a lot of time going on. And what am I going to do in the meantime? Like, how do I spend my time now? So am I in a rush? Technically, no, because of delayed gratification, but actually yes, because I really need more t-shirts. So I'm valuing my time very different, and I kind of feel like, do I want to spend my time on what I'm doing right now, or do I want to do something that will help me even more? Like, is it worth going to a bar tonight with friends, or do I rather want to educate myself and watch a 3-hour video from Wells Only where he is explaining about exponential growth, and I'm saying that, like, please, I need to watch it the third time because it's so complicated. Literally,
Wales.
This video is so insane. I've already watched it about 3 times, and I copied he made an Excel document where he is doing the math. I did that on my own to prove it to myself. I mean, it's obvious that is what he's doing, but I wanted to do it to myself. And then if you press enter and the number goes up, and then he's talking about exponential growth and how it's working. And I'm sitting there being like, dude, what? So, okay, coming back to my question, how do you value time, and how did your view on the value of time change with time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think I thought about time more like you do now early on, because my dad brought me to like investing seminars, where they're talking about mutual funds, where they're talking about retirement accounts. So I set up a Roth IRA when I was like, I don't know, 12 or something. And but guess what? When I was 20, I decided to spend all that money and take it out early. So there was no penalty saving me from myself. And so that was definitely a part that was missing, right? So it wasn't real to me, even that, the realist financial system. And then really my views, on the future are a lot different than most people, because I'm a idealist, and I'm a dreamer, and I think that the future is what we make it. And even when the world like says that everything is falling apart, I just see opportunity instead of crisis. And so I recognize that I'm like a much different type of thinker than most people, and that has benefits and negatives. But I've noticed with Hex, I definitely would have lost my mind with Sun and Well syndrome if it wasn't for staking. Because I have a staking ladder, I don't have the pressure of having a liquid net worth that's as large as the net worth that I've earned. It's almost like we see a number, right, in Staker app or whatever tracking software you use, but what's liquid. And so I keep 2 separate apps, one for my liquid bag, and then which includes like whatever Bitcoin I couldn't sell because it's on like a physical coin. And it includes like an Ethereum that I lost the password to. So that's like, that's my liquid. And then like my liquid Hex, which is less than 1% of my bag. And but then the rest of my bag, I've launched out there, pretty much yearly stakes. And I had a yearly stake come out on my birthday in June. And then I rebought my T shares. And so that caused me to put in a higher amount of Hex principal than before. And but I still, because of the big payday, got a good amount out to live off of. And so I've entered the phase of passive income. And at the same time, my relationship with time now is to where being retired early makes it so I would go crazy if I didn't invest all my time with Hex stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're going to see, is that even if you have a good idea of what your relationship with time is, it will continue to change as a function of money and Hex. And then many people I see who have also been in Hex for 2 years are having similar like lifestyle changes, where now we're having to go from saving all of our money and not eating out to like, now I can afford to eat out with my friends whenever I want.
Yes.
How often should I do that? What's right for me? I feel more like myself when I don't do that, right? But I want to find the right balance for me, and I want to definitely keep myself busy and healthy. And so my relationship with time becomes to where the amount of years I have left of my health span, not my lifespan, my health span is when I'm healthy and active. That will be a function, just like how Hex, the amount of money I have now is a function of how much I saved in the past, how hard I worked to save. Now it's a function of how hard I work to keep my health good, to improve my health, and to keep the health of the Hex ecosystem going, because I can keep paying my health insurance if people keep learning about Hex. And so it's not all up to me. I don't feel huge pressure, but if I'm on this earth to do something, it might as well be to, pump my own bags, but also give other people the opportunity to experience what I'm experiencing with health and helping others.
Are you afraid of death?
I'm afraid of a slow, painful death, but I don't think of it hardly at all.
Okay. Interesting.
What other questions do you have? I'll try to give briefer answers.
Well, actually, yeah, we already talked about sudden wealth syndrome, but on my side, I am experiencing more of the opposite, because I think at first the time being in a dip feels longer, but also I think we are now a long time in a dip, so I'm not sure which. I think I'm longer in Hex in the dip than in the upside. So what is sudden wealth? I'm not sure if I'm experiencing it, or if has every hexagon that, or is that just some, or is it just the ones that already cut in, or
like when we talk about exponential, it definitely relates, because my experience of sudden wealth syndrome is this almost disbelief, or like when we talk about exponential numbers, we say that our meat computers in our heads, aka our brains, are bad at processing that exponential curve, right? If you fold an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, how many times can you fold it before you can't fold it anymore? Is 7 times. How many times can you fold it before the width of it becomes the distance between here and the sun? Only 50 times do you fold that piece of paper theoretically, because it can't be folded that thick. But if you could, that gives you an example of how exponentials work. They boggle the mind. And so just as confusing as it is to think about that, it's just as confusing, except now it's the reality of you really are a millionaire overnight. It's like you won the lottery. And so you feel like you don't deserve this, that it could suddenly go away. And by the way, I mean, yeah, that's a possibility, but like out of anything getting rugged ever, I don't think Hex is gonna. I think the dollar gets rugged 99% before Hex gets rugged 90%, right? Or 95%. And So
this is no financial advice.
not financial advice. We're just talking about math, right? And we're talking about psychology.
Yeah.
And so that's the point, is that so sudden wealth syndrome is like, all of a sudden you can buy whatever you want. You go from like saving hardcore to like not having a struggle, which feels weird. It leaves you without purpose. You realize that you were in survival mode your whole life, so your IQ goes up 10 points. And then if you're not being an intellectual asshole to everybody around you, then you're being a financial asshole to everybody, paying for everything. Oh, don't worry about it. I got it. Do you know how insulting that is to some people? And
yes,
then,
because it's so insulting to me right now.
yeah, of course. Especially people who are around you. And then you lose your patience. You become full of like, oh, I was right all along. Because either you know nothing, so you get imposter syndrome, or you get to be like somebody who's overconfident in what they know, and then you're walking around like an asshole, like, why do I have to explain this to you? And like, why isn't everything working out for me? Like, you have to wait in line, and you're like getting impatient, right? Because you realize the reality of having unlimited resources is still that there are limits, and you start testing limits. This is not just my experience. This is just in general what the psychology of the situation is when people become suddenly wealthy. And I mean, Hexicans have become more suddenly wealthy than anyone in history. And at the same time, because we can stake out, it's not as devastating, because a lot of the people who have millions of dollars don't have access to those millions, but they're still willing to spend almost everything they have, because they have they have pay dates for the next 15 years. And so it will create like a balance within each person once they get enough experience with whatever roller coaster they set up for themselves. So for example, some people who are, let's say, a squid, are like rolling over, right? Like every month they're getting access to all their money, their entire savings, whereas other people created a 15-year ladder. And so you're only going to come up to the question of, do I sell all my principal, or do I sell part of my principal, or do I only sell my interest? People are only coming up to that every so often with part of their bag versus the entire thing. That's a different psychology, right? You have to like, you kind of have to train yourself a lot better to not slip up and not get impulsive and not be short-term thinking just for 1 month versus having longer stakes.
Yeah, I because of tax reasons, my first stake is ending in 10 years. So I have a lot of time to think about life or whatever. And then I got over the thought that why do it 10 years? So I started my ladder with 10 years, then I did 11. And then I realized that after that time, I lose my T-shares. And so right now I'm working the other way. So I should have started with 15 and going backwards to myself on time, like 15, 14, 13, that I have more T-shares for longer, generating more hacks with. So I think the further I push it out, I mean, between 10 and 15 years, there's no technical difference between how much T-shares you get, but there's 5 years that you hold them longer. And if you do the math, how many hacks you get in 5 years with only one T-share, that is a lot. So I rather have my shares for 5 years longer. And
so I made a graph of what it would look like if the T-share price wasn't trying to trick us into not understanding what I call T-share years, which is just a multiple of how many T-shares you have and how long you have them for, because that's how long you have this cheap of a money printer. Are you with me? And so let me
Yes.
show you the image here that I presented a while back. So this is, let me see if I can fit it all on here. It's not really formatted for this type of a screen, but the basic numbers that you need to see are a 5-year pays you 35 T-share year points, a 10-year gives you 100, and a 15 gives you 150 points.
Yeah, I
And
saw you
so-
made like a little game where you can grab the T-shirts and put it in your bag.
Yeah, it part of it broke on the new iPhone operating system because MetaMask sucks so bad, but it still works on desktop and it's not on the App Store, so I should have not named it tshare.app, but that's what it's called. So it's a web-based thing, and it's pretty advanced for like back in June. It can tell, it's a website. It could tell if you have MetaMask already, so it takes you to download it if you don't have it, and then
Yeah, I've
it's
seen
just
the
like,
video.
it's
This
very
was
intuitive.
very nice.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, that just gives you the breakdown. And so again, it's kind of cool that you've already figured out this, and this just helps the audience, because we have a lot of OGs who watch, and I'm also trying to make content like this where newer people can really catch up and understand some of the concepts, even though we do pretty complicated ones.
Yes. I think keeping a balance between content for OGs and content for onboarding is not that easy, because the big amount of viewers you have are most likely OGs, because they getting in the space. And I think I don't even know every content creator. And there's still so many things I have to learn, and so many people I need to. I'm very sorry, everybody. I'm deeply sorry, but I have not watched one whole stream of Hexologist. I really want to do it, but I found his YouTube channel like 2 days ago, and then I texted him, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, we can do a stream maybe in December." And like, "Oh my God, Hexologist!" And then I'm like, "Wait, who's Hexologist?" So I looked it up, and this guy is like, he was there from the beginning. And what I want to say is that I don't even know everybody yet.
Well,
I really want to talk to everybody.
One of the things that that's going to be happening here very soon is the Hex conference is going to start kicking up. And so what we're going to do is I think we're going to launch a channel separate from mine, because the first year when I hosted the Hex conference, it was so new, I just needed to do it. But now it's getting to the point where it's not about me, it's about the community getting to meet everybody who's been a streamer and contributor and understanding the context. And so that'll probably happen here very shortly, where I'll start to feature people before the online conference that's happening in 2 months.
Yeah. Do you want to talk more about your conference and what you're doing? Because
Sure.
I have no idea what you have planned or how it will be. And I hear that there's a meetup in Las Vegas or something that you guys are organizing.
Yeah. So I'll go to the landing page for it. It's just hexconference.com. And I can show here, I'll share my screen as soon as I get rid of this other image. And the thing that people, the thing that addresses your point, because I've talked about the Hex conference before, but it's so it's just the idea here that we did the first online conference last year, January 6th through 9th. And so we're going to keep the same dates this year. And the place to go to see that is going to be called hexpo.online, because it tells you what it is and where it is in the domain name. And then there's going to be an in-person that's called hexpo.vegas, and that'll be on March 6th through 9th in Vegas.
So I need a ticket for the online expo?
No.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Then I'll be there.
And so this is the example of how we did the first Hex conference, which was 4 days, and it had these different color codes for the different hours. And so the first day on the first hour was a 4-person panel on community with Crypto Coffee and Hexologist and Dollar Cost Crypto and Captain RG3. Then we did a rapid round with 10 different people, including Dr. Moore, who's in the comments now.
Hello.
And then we did this hour was broken into 2 10-minute spots and 2 20-minute spots. And I gave one of the talks there. So did Kareem, Crypty Girl, and Nate J. Those 2 are the ones that won over 1 million hex each from SkiCat in the early days. And then there was a keynote by Kryptosparbach, which is Patrick and Abit, who are doing the US road trip tour now. And then we had a online concert by Freddie Quotes to kick off the social that we did. And then we did panels on global, individual hex talks, a panel on open topics with Johnny Chaos and Kinetics and Motley and Crypto Grandma. And then we had more hex talks with Dev Kyle, Silver the Antidote, and Bitfinesse. And then there's a staking panel with Firebun of Staker App and Big Kurkowski and Kareem. And then we had Randy Hilarski and Crypto Kool-Aid and Steph from Staker App and Silver the Antidote on a game theory panel. And then we had on the 4th day was a price panel, and then Hex Talks with Joe Hexotic and John Wick, David Feeder, and Randy Hilarski. And then I did a speech with Richard about self-health, which is the intersection of mental health and self-help. And then Richard did a keynote, and then we all did a social with Richard online. And so everybody can see this by going to the YouTube playlist I have for the first Hex conference. It's still up there. But this is what we're going to redo. And if you want to be a speaker at the Hex conference, people can go to hexsurvey.com, and that will take you to the information that you need in order to sign up.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's when is the next conference? Something.
It's January 6th through 9th.
Oh wow, that's like tomorrow.
It's coming up
far away.
But it's
great.
The first one really, the amount of planning was a lot, but it was totally manageable because we have a community already of live streamers, and because we're getting within 2 months now, I want to let everybody know that the one requirement will be that you need a green screen.
Okay.
And if you don't have the means to buy a green screen, I will get one for you. So it's not to like exclude anybody, but it is to make sure that the production quality is good.
Okay.
So people can. There's a
green screen.
There's instructions about that at hexsurvey.com if you want to be a speaker. There's instructions about that, so you'll be able to message me through that form. And I'm excited to see, how it's going to shape up this year. I know we've already got more people signed up than last year, and it's going to be really good.
Wow, I'm excited, and I'll definitely look into that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the Britain meetup. Pulse Chain will launch someday. I hope as late as possible. Even though ETH gas fees suck, I still hope that the later the Pulse Chain will launch, the better. It would be nice if Pulse Chain launches at the maximum pain price of Hex. Like the deeper we get, the more likely Pulse Chain would be. That would be funny. So the people that sold will also get a little bit punished.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great attitude to have as well. I think the same thing. Hex was launched with perfect timing, and
Yes.
Richard is not shy about owning up to his awesome timing when it comes to markets and to price predictions and stuff.
Yes, and I think that right now in the community there's a lot of like people debating on when Pulse Chain will launch, and then Richard did this tweet about his birthday, which was a little bit confusing. So I don't know when or what or how, but I think from the timing it would be the most funny if it would be the bottom of the bottom from the Hex, because if Pulse Chain launches, people will buy again Hex, and I don't know. I think it would be funny.
Yeah, it's going to create much more of a rip upwards once.
Yes, I
once
already
people
can
reverse.
imagine Richard sitting in this high chair and talking like, all these people that sold, they didn't get a double, they didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I think that would fit my image of Richard. So yeah, only time will tell.
Yeah, and that'll be true whether he says it or not, and that's giving people faith now too, because Hex hasn't changed. Price volatility is a feature, not a bug. It takes money from the impatient and gives it to the patient. And just like you said, if you sell now before the double, then you deserve having zero.
I understood the game theory as good as I can. So even though I want to keep some Hex liquid to sell it at a higher price, I still realize that I have to be honest with myself. Maybe I'm just not strong enough to hold it, and maybe I am one of these shit idiots that sells at the bottom. But I have the opportunity or the product to just freeze it and prevent myself from being stupid and getting rewarded in the possibility of even have my T-shares doubled, which are worth so much more compared to just Hex. And that is so much deepness in this whole product that I think it is no way that this thing has no future. There's no way. It will be a crypto. It will go up. It will go down. But it's just on steroids.
Yeah, it's in price discovery, and so that means that it's confusing emotionally for people, and that's part of the other side of the coin, right? Because when we talk about humans not being able to comprehend exponential curves and how high cryptocurrencies can go, in the same way, our brains are not prepared emotionally to suffer the kind of losses that happen so quickly in crypto.
Yes.
And that so that really challenges us to use all of our skills and to build our skills, our financial and emotional skills. And so that's kind of where Hex therapy comes in, not just for sudden wealth syndrome, which is something I didn't know that I would ever speak about, but simply just controlling the emotions of fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was in crypto and educated myself, when I did my own research, I learned about these two primary emotions of fear and greed. And I told myself, I want to master those emotions. And so I did an exercise with, to me at the time, a medium amount of money. Now, for me, a medium amount of money at the time was my savings of, maybe $100 a week or something. And so I told myself, I'm going to do an exercise where I buy no matter what, where I'm dollar cost averaging in, except my dollar cost average in is going to exclude days that are up days. So it has to be red. It has to be a red day for me to buy.
Yes.
So I buy in weekly, but if it's a green day, I'm going to wait till the next red day. And So that was the exercise that I did. And I felt terrible buying dips. I'm not going to lie to you. People feel all kinds of ways. I feel bad when I buy dips, and I feel bad when I send money to my future self by time locking. And when I say bad, I mean really, but like I get sick to my stomach a little bit. Like I don't want to do it. You know, I could lie down on the floor and have a tantrum. Like, and so my first goal was to just master fear. And that meant buying dips. And so I practiced that. And that was my goal. So I was successful when I was buying dips, not because I believed that the price would go up so much so quickly that it would reward me, but because this was something I could accomplish. It was an amount of money that I didn't want to lose it, but it was something, I was paying for that emotional experience. And so, so in that sense, I couldn't lose. And it probably helped me to continue to do it the more the price dipped. Because, you know, when the price of Hex goes 50%, you lose half the money that you put in at the top. But then when it does a 75% correction, now that's 50% of the money you put in when you were 50% down, right? So, so
I'm experiencing
it hurts
right now.
It hurts is my point. And, you know, so for me, that's one tool that I used to improve my financial emotional IQ. And then I went into the risky business of trying to master the emotion of greed. So I worked on fear for like 6 months or a year, and then I worked on greed. And luckily, like I got away with selling tops and then buying bottoms, just lucky. But now in Hex, I wouldn't practice it that way anymore, because I would just do a simple dollar cost average out to control greed instead of trying to sell tops necessarily, because trading, I've learned more, is just a game of luck. Even if you are giving yourself an advantage, it only takes 5 times of mastering greed. There have been 5 times in Hex where you got left behind forever because it did a 10x or it did a double, right? And so, so if you're always losing your money because you're selling every top and then you get left behind on one of the tops, I would not recommend that anymore. So anyway, like that, those are the skills I've used to kind of combat this price volatility that we're dealing with now.
Yes.
Meditation is very important for us in this space, to be able to separate ourselves from the emotional states we get sucked into and for us to remain logical. Awesome point, Stephen Harlow in the comments. Shout out to you.
Yeah, that's very good. So if you take profits, how do you what do you do with the money? Do you invest it in your surroundings, or do you invest it in yourself, or do you reinvest it? Like where do you go afterwards?
I started with the philosophy that in the next 1 year, I'm going to live 1 to 2% of my life. So that gives myself 50 to 100 years as my life expectancy from here. So in my opinion, if I can only sell 1 to 2% of my bag per year and reinvest the rest, then I'll be living the smoothest financial life possible, right? And and I'll be able to adjust. Remember, even if I send too much to myself in the future, what I'm trading that for is I just have to work hard now to earn money.
Yeah.
The advantage to getting the amount just right is that I won't be wasting money, which is like immoral in my opinion, but I won't be like delaying gratification to the point where it's like kind of pointless or not. So for everybody, there's going to have to be some sort of balance. For me, I'm still finding that. For me, it's definitely something I'm still experiencing, exploring, and reporting on. I can tell people I've spent money on going to Hex meetups, like to meet up with other Hexicans and see how they're doing and to promote Hex. And I've spent money on equipment because I was running with a 5-year-old computer because I was saving money for crypto because I thought that crypto would go up. I delayed a trip around the world that I had been planning for 3 years and saving up for because I said, I'm going to put my money into Bitcoin and a couple other coins, Hex and whatever else. Because I think those are going to go up, I would rather delay gratification now and then in the future be able to go on a trip around the world and still have savings. And so for me, that's something that I'm starting to do now just by participating. Now I'm going to London, right?
Yes.
And so that like matches up super well. But still it makes me uncomfortable to have too much money liquid. And so I do think a lot about my financial plan for the future. And I am glad that I'm staked on a yearly ladder going forward.
Yeah. So
I bought, did you know I bought a DeLorean?
I know, that's what I wanted to talk about. I really love, I think it is one of the most beautiful cars. I think cars in general, they just look like I don't like the look of most of the cars. There's like one old Volkswagen bus that I like the shape, and then there's a DeLorean. So when I was a kid, I watched Back to the Future many times with my father, and when I bought, do you know the game Grand Theft Auto?
A little bit.
Yeah. So they at one time they made an update where you could buy this car, and so I bought that car in the game. I spent literally hours just to get that car, just to show it to my father that I have one of these, because they're like only 2,000 or so ever made, and it's like the original OG car with wing doors. So I just and how do you? It's stainless steel, right?
Yes.
The car. Yeah. So I love stainless steel. I have as much things made of stainless steel, because it's just you cannot break it. You can make like a whole.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't realize what I was getting into when I got the DeLorean, because of course I remembered the movies, but the reason I got it is because it was like the most iconic movie car, but it was matching my message of paying your future self and mental health, and the cross between crypto and Hex and mental health. And so it was a no-brainer for sure. But now I'm experiencing like the culture of the DeLorean and Back to the Future. And it's like, it's making me a bigger fan of it all.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I went to a DeLorean meetup with my father at one point, where we drove hours just to be it was just a parking lot or something in the middle of nowhere, and there were everybody coming with their DeLoreans, and every car looked the same, but everybody was so excited just to see these cars.
Cool.
I don't know. I know it's kind of very old car, and it doesn't has all these new features and stuff, but it's just so iconic. And also with the game theory behind Hex is with the DeLorean, it's cooler and easier to explain to people how it's working, especially for new guys. And that one thing is like sending yourself a bottle message to your future self, with it getting bigger exponentially and having that car. very jealous to that car, and I already Googled what it will cost, but I'll need more delayed gratification, and one day I'll maybe get one. But
yeah, and I
have some time.
I know the guy now, and I onboarded him into Hex, one of the 3 owners. Like he owns one of the 3 shops in the world, and so I've onboarded him. So he'll be, he's not really paying attention. I basically tipped him $500 worth of Hex back when it was 30 or 35 cents. So,
Nice.
2 years from now, he'll be super happy. And then also you'll be already, hopefully, you'll have to make a stake specifically you could do $100 stake for a DeLorean in 3 years or something.
Yeah, but the thing is, the DeLorean is also appreciating in price because it has so little supply.
It's not gonna be too bad, I don't think, because
I hope so.
Even
in the last 10 years, I think the price went up from 40 to 60K something.
Yep, that sounds about right.
That's what I remember. So Hex just needs to be faster, but it's looking good so far.
It's looking good.
And but then I don't know. I don't know what the future brings, and maybe I want to build a family or buy a house, or I don't know yet. So owning a DeLorean with the family might not be the best thing, but owning a DeLorean sounds very, very nice.
And if nothing else, in a year or 2, you can come to a Hex meetup, and I'll let you drive this one.
Ooh, yes, I'll come back to you. For sure. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and again, I'm really excited by the amount of energy that surrounds like the Back to the Future community, and kind of just people popping out of nowhere. I had a woman chasing me down on the highway,
wow,
huge smile, taking pictures because there was a beautiful sunset in the background. I was just driving. It looked like she was driving pretty safe, but she was was taking pictures. She sped past me and showed me her phone, and it was a beautiful picture of the DeLorean just driving into the sunset. And so it's there's everywhere I go with it, people are excited. They want to take a business card about hex.com. I talked to Toby one at this meetup in Columbus, Ohio, and I was like, I need to give out something special with the DeLorean, something. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking of a guitar pick with Hex on it or something, but I decided to go with that magnet because he said a fridge magnet, people would keep seeing it over and over again. And so I just sent off to get 1,000 magnets that have a QR code on them and that say let me pull it up here. I think I got the design. It's a hexagon shaped magnet, of course.
Hexagon, no joke. Listening to Richard, how he is praising himself and what he did every day is on one side it's funny, on the other side it kind of is true. It is the best logo. It is the best community. It is the best game theory. It is the best price performance. So there's everything he says is wow, that looks really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Future. Nice.
So I'm gonna hand those out at meetups and stuff. So it'll be
you can cool. If it's magnet, you can put it in your car.
Not stainless steel, oddly enough.
Fuck.
I know. It seems like it should be, but it's not.
Well, you
will find a way.
We'll find a way. That is great. I had something in my mind, but I forgot it. Oh, damn it.
Onboarding and getting people excited about the Hex community and finding ways to incept them and to you just get them to pay attention. The DeLorean represents a pattern interrupt, I guess is what it's called in marketing.
Yeah. And also the community from Back to the Future is, I think, you can compare it to Star Wars. Even Star Wars is way bigger, but the Back to the Future is something. It's it's a family movie. There's the old guy, people
Doc
like my
Brown.
father, who's now 50, and then he's watching it with his kid, who's now getting older. So it has a very big, like a lot of people are. Oh man, what do I say it? Sometimes I miss the English word. Like there's a very big
Nostalgic.
No, that's not the word that I'm looking for. Those are not the droids I'm looking for.
Yeah. Good one.
Wait, I need to Google the word because it's in German it's Zielgruppe. I can get a second. Zielgruppe. Target group.
Target group, yeah.
Target group. The Back to the Future car has a very big target group, and I think there's a lot more people understanding Back to the Future than understanding investing and finance. So getting people into
good point.
Oh yeah, I watched that as a kid. What are you doing with this nice car? Can I take a picture? Oh yeah, by the way, do you want to get rich? So I think that is such an easy way to understand how it gets, and I think that's like a very, very strong icebreaker.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you can use blue what? Okay, now it's gone. 3.9-inch magnet. Nice.
It's true.
All these Americans with this weird units. Inch is not that's a shit measurement.
Yeah, it's like a king's foot. What the hell?
Yes. Or an elbow. Like guys with big elbows, they always get discount, and people with small elbows, that's not fair at all. You always have to go shopping with someone that has bigger elbows. Well, that's not good.
Then you get elbow inflation.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a feeling, but all the kids that are like 5 years younger than me, they're like one head bigger. I'm looking. Maybe I'm just small, or not small, but tiny. But I'm not tiny. I'm average. I'm not. But every of these 18-year-olds like 2 heads bigger than me, and I'm like, yeah. So how are you doing?
Yeah,
that's so weird.
That is.
So I have an other question. I need to make this like my logo. Another question. Do you still work as a mental therapist, or do you just do it, or are you financially free already?
I'm financially free. I was working as a community mental health therapist for 7 years, and I did about 11,000 hours of therapy. And got I was overqualified and underpaid. I never got a raise, even though I had more hours and more groups and more everything than all the other therapists. So I did it out of passion for helping people who didn't have very much. All of my clients were on Medicaid, which means they were low income, poverty level, and a number of them were court ordered. And that's where I gained my expertise for understanding how people can change their behaviors, even if they aren't motivated to do so. And so for me, I'm not looking to only onboard people who are worthy of being financially free. Everybody is worthy of being financially free. There is not one type of person that I want to see do better in Hex than anybody else, unless it is the underdog compared to the already billionaire. And so that my work as a mental health therapist really did influence kind of my worldviews. But the thing that left me so unsatisfied with my job was it was costing the government a lot of money for me to even run a group with 10 people, where I could create a synergy where the people who had been there a while were like able to vouch and say like, yeah, this therapist really helped me. And then the new people, they would get motivated And then the old people would be motivated to stay drug free and to keep up good mental health and self-care because they would start to mentor and see the new people do so well. And so even just being able to change 100 lives a year was amazing. But now on YouTube, I can reach thousands of people a day.
Yes. So social media has a very big, very much bigger potential than just to talking to people in person.
That's right.
Yeah. So right now, I learned something like car wrapping. Like, you know, the car of Abid, it's like the Audi. It's wrapped in foil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I did for that's what I learned. And
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool, but it's also low income. So I did car wrapping. I did all kinds of different foils. I don't know if I think foil is the right word. And my old employee, no, my old, is employee the right word? Like the guy who, yeah, he was a nice guy. He's very old, and he's an artist. So we had the lots of museums where we're working for, and so it was a lot of creative stuff I was able to do and able to learn, and I still in my free time doing lots of art sometimes. Well, it's phases, but I really enjoy doing art. And then because there was no money and we had a little stress with each other, I am now working as a fair builder, like a stand builder for at fairs. So that is a very, very hard job, and it is fun, it is interesting, but you know, COVID kind of raped the whole industry because from one day to another there was nothing to do. So we built a house. I have now built a house. It is even harder than anything else I've done before. Like, I've never experienced such a hard-working job because, you know, printing stickers and making them ready to sell is easy, and it's not, there's no body paint. But building a house where you have to lift like so big wood things and then put it on the house and build everything, it was a very, very interesting experience, but it was also a very hard one. And so it's every day at work it is very, very noisy, and when I'm in bed at night I can hear this very loud beeping tone. So I need to find where I'm going, because I'm sometimes getting lost in my thoughts. Well, yeah, that's about me. And
yeah,
so on what I was usually going to tell or wanting to ask, I don't know. I'm having a meeting with the employee of my mother, and my mother is working as a secretary, and that's all I knew. But now I don't know. I'm every time I meet her, I'm talking about crypto, and I'm talking about Hex, and I'm trying to teach her and explain her how everything works. So I hope one day I'll onboard her, but it surely will take some time. So I don't have my own car because it's just too expensive. When I was moving out with 18, I had to decide, do I want a car or do I want my own flat? So I decided to live alone, and that was the best decision ever, because I got distance to my mother, because earlier we were just fighting every day, and right now I have the distance and I have a much, much better relationship to her. But no car, so sometimes I can borrow her car, and because the car is like the best advertising machine, I put a Hex sticker on that car, so every time she's driving to work, I'm doing advertisement. So
not the one that Richard signed.
No. I'm keeping them. I have I have 2 left, and I don't know what I will do with them, but I'll keep them for a while.
Awesome.
So the guys she's working for, they I figured out 2 days ago that they are doing financial planning for rich people. So they were asking her if they can have a meetup with me. So I explained them about crypto. So the meetup is on Monday, Tuesday, on Thursday, and I'm trying to make a presentation, but I'm struggling very hard. And maybe you have some idea what how I can pitch them very easy, very short, very easy to understand. I mean, they know how to invest, and I think that might be some kind of problem. But on the hex.com website, I just wrote the I am on this website every day. It's the best. This website, Will's only website. I'm trying to get as many information out there, but I don't want to spam them with some, look, my coin is better than any other coin. I think I'm not sure if that will work, so I will rather explain to them that is, I want to make it simple and short, but yet I kind of want to onboard them because they are interested. They already understand how investing works, but I think telling a person that is investing since 40 years, telling them everything they already did, they have to forget, and now we are here and Hex is the new shit. I think that they won't.
Yeah, that's not a good pitch. Yeah, the pitch is it's decorrelated. And it's better than Bitcoin, but mostly just look at the decorrelation. So, and I'm just brainstorming here. I don't know these people. I don't know what your best pitch is going to be, but this is my intuition is everybody in finance who knows what they're doing is looking for alpha, which is the asset that's decorrelated from everything else to lower the volatility. So a while back, 5 years ago, it would have been hard for anybody to understand how adding something with high volatility could decrease your overall portfolio of volatility, mainly Bitcoin, right? But now we've seen that play out for so long that people understand that. So that is the pitch that they could understand. So this chart, I think it communicates what it needs to. Whales only has a chart that comes up on
I think the Whales only
often.
chart with the dots, I think that is easier to understand because the more there's so many dots at the 0 point that there's nearly very less correlation to any other. I think you have to go on the top of the side and then they go to Hex, and under Hex there's charts or correlations. Yeah, this one. I think that is, there's so many, even correlated to the S&P 500 and to gold. Okay,
so maybe this one is a better presentation, or a screenshot from QuantGang, or whatever it would be. But to have that as one of the ones, and then maybe a second one that shows how early you are. You know, keep it simple. So, keep it 2 slides. Keep it.
Do you think it's because Hex has so many levels of understanding? What do you think are? I mean, I know a lot, and I still know a little, but it's hard for me to filter out what's the important thing. Like, do you think it's important to explain how T-shirts work? Because I think T-shirts are the
key. Them tell you what's important to them.
Okay.
So that's my new that's my new insight that I'm going to start trying to figure out how to make a tool of, is like, there are different marketing pitches that are going to work with different types of people. So we need to find a smoother way for those people to get matched up with the marketing pitch that's going to work for them, instead of them getting any other pitch, because any other pitch is not going to be as effective. And people are willing to tell us if we have that kind of built into the conversation. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So not like, I'm having ADHD, and because of that, I'm very impulsive and energetic. And if I can get hyper focused on whatever it is, that is my entire life for the next month or week, and I have never seen anything better. I do sometimes, there's it is a stone, and then you have a thing where you can, it's a very smooth stone, so you can scratch stuff off, and then you can build forms out of it. That's so much fun, sitting there all night with friends, crumbling on these stones and making everything the way you want it to look. You can literally do anything. But for me, to pitch me that, it'd be like, hey, yo, there's this stone. It's so much fun. Just you can shape anything out of it. And then like, wow, that is so cool. But for somebody else that doesn't like to get like dirty, or you produce a lot of stuff around you. So I think the point where you were saying that different pitch for different person, that's a good idea. So I think
you can go prepared with a couple of slides, and then let them tell you what they want to know more about, and get them involved, because their engagement is going to be what carries them anyway. And so whatever hook it's going to be, and the hook might be Quant Gang, or it might be Hex Clips, or it might be them checking in with you in a week or two. And you'll get better at sales as you go. And so don't think this is ever going to be your only lead, but it's going to be a learning process. But the good news is that there are thousands and thousands of other Hexicans just like you who are excited about Hex, who have learned the basics and beyond, who are asking good questions, and the community is just producing more and more people who know more and more about Hex. And at some point, we're all going to be the best communicators we've ever been. And we're that's what's going to take us the next 10x.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I wish I could make shilling Hex as my job. That would be very funny. But on the other side, well, that's kind of what you do. That's kind of financial freedom, telling people what Hex is. But I think with Hex comes so much more of having the opportunity to do whatever you want. And I think even though I don't want to work, I don't want to stop working. I just want to do something that how I want to change life, or how I want to change the world, and not how somebody else wants to change the world. So
you're already doing it by just going to one meetup with Richard Hart and being prepared and asking the right questions. You already have a following. People, love you, that you've embraced your meme, and so give yourself credit at this point, right? That you're already making a difference, that things will come in time. We have to be patient and excited. My biggest problem right now is that I see an awesome future for the world, and I have to be patient with everybody as we work together to build that. Some people don't see the same thing I do, but I have to remind myself not to get ahead of myself and not to get ahead of everybody else, because then otherwise I'm going to miss out on the journey.
I know what you mean, because I'm so excited, and I want to onboard everybody as quick as possible, so that they understand faster, so that we are faster at the goal. But then I think, is that the way? Because some people are faster, some are slower. Maybe I maybe going with the flow, or not pushing it too hard, makes it faster sometimes. Like, you, well, if you're doing it slow, you're faster. Like in this way, if you don't rush it, then you're getting to your destination a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, just it takes time, and that's what we're doing here. It took me months to onboard my closest friends. It took me more months to onboard family members, and there are still people that I care about who have not been onboarded yet. Some of those people, I was able to gift Hex after the first 10x or after the first 20x. And so your heart is in the right place, like you're motivated. And I think, just focusing on one thing at a time, you're going to do really great. And remember, whatever you're doing, it's still a lot faster than myself, right? Because it took the OGs a long time to even figure out that we needed T-shares at all. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
We didn't
nobody
know at the
told
beginning.
you?
No, I mean, I was in Hex since before Hex launched. And when the T-share rate started out paying like 10% APY, even for like a 5-year stake, and everybody was like, who cares? And then Steph created the league system, and then big payday was coming up. And so we were all like, Richard was educating us, like, you have to get T-shares. T-shares are cool. But no, like in the first 3 to 6 months, nobody even knew the power of T-shares.
Wait. Let me pull up the chart. If 3 to 6 months, people were not buying T-shares.
People were, but like it wasn't popular. Like you could go back and see when Discord Syndicate started, like right around big payday, started telling people like, you should end your short stakes and you should stake longer past big payday. Like that was something that people had to, because in the early days, in the first 10 days of Hex, everybody made stakes for like a month or like a year, and nobody was staking super long until the community really got together and discussed it.
Okay. So there's this technology cycle of things surviving only about 10 years, and then something new comes. What do you think about that? And what do you think? Hex is designed to stay forever, or at least stay for a very long time. So what do you think, if this technology, let's say this technology break, or this technology level up, what can happen? Or, well, nobody knows, but what's your thought on that?
We do know it's game theory. It's just like in Bitcoin, we know with a certain level of probability that double spends will be caught and rejected because the incentives are right, because the miners have staked electricity. Their electricity bill and their hardware bill causes them to maintain the value of Bitcoin by rejecting double spends, because otherwise the new Bitcoin that they get paid would be worthless, and they need it to be worth something. So that creates the right incentives for Bitcoin to be trusted as the first digital currency that we can trust is scarce. And now that Bitcoin keeps having every 4 years the supply that's created every 10 minutes gets cut in half.
Yes.
The inflation has reached a point where it's less than the dollar. So the inflation of Bitcoin's 2 or 3%, somewhere in there. The inflation of the dollar went up to 5% now.
Mm-hmm.
And so currently the dollar has an inflation rate that's variable, and Bitcoin has one that's theoretically fixed.
Yeah.
Probabilistically, with some degree of probability fixed. And so that creates, to some people, a more trustworthy and predictable economic policy than this world reserve currency, which is supposed to have the most predictable and certain economic policy. So we're starting to see just now in the past 2 years, the first actual contender for a new world reserve currency based on free market competition. Now, if you've tried to move money around the world, if you've been involved in international business at all, or tried to deal with a bank and have like $10,000 cash, you know that the world is not a free market anymore when it comes to money. That that the dollar is the reserve currency by force, and by tradition and by its technology. So Bitcoin is becoming a contender, and that's why we see $65,000 Bitcoin. Now, Hex is designed better, and the reason why we have more certainty with Hex than we do with Bitcoin is because Bitcoin, the game theory only protects it from double spends. The game theory of Hex protects it from everything because we have 70,000 people who are time locked for a certain amount of time. And when the average is 5 years, that means if something goes wrong in Hex, we have 5 years to fix it before half the people are out.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, Bitcoin has miners that can dump the price, and Hex has stakers that can dump the price?
Yes.
Do you think that could will this stabilize Hex more, or will this make Hex more volatile, or will it has longer downside periods in the future? Like right now, the average doubling time is around 50 to 60 days, but the more stakes are ending, the more people are going to sell some or all of their Hex. And what do you think is the future lookout? Like the more stakes ending, the more people would sell, the longer it needs to recover. What do you think?
This is the great thing, is the future is not decided, and each person who has a stake ending in 5 years does not currently have the ability to decide yet whether they're going to sell everything or not. So we have 5 years to educate those people. And and what I've seen so far in the first 2 years is a bunch of people buying their financial freedom and then devoting their time to solving these types of problems. And how it's been solved, right? In crypto, we love to look for solutions and then copy what works in the real world, except remove middlemen. And so what legacy people do, what the ultra rich do, is they buy assets and then they never sell them. And the way that works is that they use evil banks to loan them money against their assets, and then they use that loaned money to buy what they want, and then they can say that they never had any income, so they never pay taxes. And then that also it creates more bubbles in the assets that they own. And so it's part of the evil monetary creation system that steals from everybody and pays the rich. Now,
Mhm.
that's incentivizing people who are insiders, or people who have power can get more power. In Hex, again, it's keeping you more honest, because it's saying that the new coins, that the inflation is only paid to the people who are staked the longest, and those are the people who are going to be the most long-term thinking. And then what if those people, A, have so much money they don't need to spend it all, or B, can take loans in the future and don't have to sell their Hex?
Mm-hmm. So, what is your opinion about taking a loan and gambling? I think these two are kind of in the same.
I
On the
hate
same topic.
loans. I think loans are borrowing from your future self. I think that's what's wrong with the world. I think that it
Uh-huh.
subconsciously changes people's behavior to be more short-term thinking. And it totally disgusts me, all of the loan stuff. And then at the same time, I appreciate thought leaders like Richard Hart, who tell us to keep our minds open and to allow our
Mm-hmm.
worldview to be updated. And so I have been listening to the other side, and I'm glad I have, because there's a group that's making something called Liquid Loans, which is only going to be available on Pulse Chain for a while. And but they're going to test out whether we can have a system where people don't sell their where people don't sell, in the sense that when you create liquidity, it's like setting a limit order. And if you put so much liquidity on one side that you're not going to get scam wicked, and you're not going, that's not ever a certainty, but it's basically like setting a limit order. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's me saying, I'm going to over collateralize. I'm going to put 20 pulse for every $20 worth of pulse for every $1 I borrow. And I'm still going to hold the keys to this, but it's going to be in a liquidity pool where
Mm-hmm.
the price of pulse would have to drop by 95% for me to get liquidated. And then is that worth it for me to take a loan? I would still say probably not, but maybe for some people, for some part of their bag, that would be enough. I'm thinking like, shoot, I mean, if my pulse bag does it 10,000x, which I'm not saying it will, I'm not sure what it'll do, but if it did, like, yeah, I'd be able to take, I'd be able to take a small enough chunk. I'd be able to take 5% of that, and then take 1% of that and live off of it,
Mm-hmm. Do you know Robert Kiyosaki? He's the rich dad. He
Yeah.
was on like funding gym was meeting him. I've seen the pictures. Like they were. Do you know the, let's say, game theory of Robert Kiyosaki?
Somewhat. I saw him on Robert Breedlove's stream, who's a Bitcoiner. I've caught a couple of his Rich Dad podcast shows, mostly
Mm-hmm.
with Bitcoin people on there.
So
What
so
are you
he's
referring to
saying
exactly? Like having like property as your cash out method?
no. As far as I understand, he is taking debt and converting debt into cash flow. And by having cash flow, he is kind of legally avoiding taxes. And
Yeah,
so
he's
he says go into debt because that's how the banking system works. And by going into debt, that he can afford more property, and property is producing cash flow, and cash flow lets him get more debt. So that's he's it's basically like a road where you can get the more debt you have, the more debt you can get.
I like him as a meme. I like the idea of his title, Rich Dad Poor Dad, like draws people in. And so the fact that he has popularized the idea of like being someone who thinks about the future and thinks strategically about their own finances, I'm a huge fan of that.
Yes.
Borrowing from everybody else's future self, like, has the consequence of, yeah, you get rich, but like at whose expense? So you're getting rich by buying property that's scarce, which makes it the price of that go up, which means that people can't afford to buy houses anymore. So now they have to rent from you. So it's almost like creating, in my opinion, it's almost creating like a slavery system in the sense that people who are actually working, like when I did therapy with people at the poverty level, like people actually work at factories, right? Like people actually make things, they break their backs. I know I worked a lot of 10-hour days straight, you know, like not doing manual labor, but doing very difficult psychological, you know, dealing with trauma and like, you know, people, you know, not wanting to be there in the criminal justice system and depression, anxiety, all the worst parts of people's lives that they would want to deal with in therapy. So, you know, for somebody to come along and like make it so if I had remained as a therapist and not bought into Hex, I may have never been able to afford a home because inflation would have gotten away from me.
Yeah.
Because people like him are pumping up the housing market to their own benefit.
Yeah, that is kind of my, well, not only my problem, but I feel like the problem of my whole generation. There's so many things. First, the prices of housing is going insane. So when I tell people, hey, I started investing, and then I try to onboard them into crypto or into Hex. So they say me, don't do that. That is way too risky. Rather buy a house or buy buy a house or anything that in that category. So, but the prices are so expensive that I literally cannot afford that. And if I want to save, even for a very small flat or for a garage, I would still need to save so long, and during that time I would lose so much money with the inflation that it's just not worth it for me to buy a house right now.
Kiyosaki causes the inflation by him taking the loan from the bank that's creating more money. So home loans create money out of nothing.
Yeah.
Which becomes inflation. So literally, we are paying for his homes that he sells to us, like in the form of us never being able to buy them, but only being able to pay rent. So it's rent seeking, it's middleman behavior. Like, just because he can do it does not mean anybody else can do it. Like, not everybody qualifies for loans. And so it's a very unequal system. So you've asked the right questions to get into the nuance of what I think of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And Dr. Moore says Rich Dad was a fictional character. Is that true?
Maybe. I actually don't know. And I don't think it matters. Like, it might be true, yeah, but who cares? If it's a fictional character, it still fulfills its purpose in teaching people a lot.
Good point.
And I think
good critical thinking.
I think I listen when I'm driving to work on the bike. It's like half an hour ride. So one of the Rich Dad Poor Dad shows is also like half an hour, and sometimes I listen to it. I think listening to him helped me. He's not only talking about getting into debt. He's explaining a lot of how the financial system works and how investing works. And he is, when we're talking, I think we kind of or my generation is kind of this technology generation where at least in the last year or last 2 years, there's so much new stuff coming out. Even, I mean, only smartphones are such an insane technology invention, and young people, they grow up understanding it, and for them it's easy. So when I listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad, it is, they're old. I don't want to be mean, but they're old guys, and that is great because they have such a different view of the world that I don't have to copy what they're doing, but I can learn and I get a different perspective. Perspective is such a important thing, and with every Hexicon is already convinced Hex is great, and that might be true, but if somebody has a different kind of view, it's hard for them to understand our view and hard for us to understand their view. So listening to Richard.
And that's the question I struggle with, is like, when should people understand Hex? Should it be before they get in or after?
Before what? Wait, please repeat the question.
Like, should people come to understand how good Hex is before they buy it or after they buy it?
I think first, it is an individual answer for everybody. I think
correct. I think so too.
But that's with everything. But in general, I think the way it is most likely to happen is that both will happen at the same time. They will buy when they understand a little, and they will most likely buy more when they understand more. So
yeah,
I mean, you can like a coin, you can like a shit coin, you can like Bitcoin, but the more you understand it, the more safe you feel in what you're investing in. There's the saying, don't invest in what you don't understand. And I think that is a good point. When I talked with, I know a guy from, it's a group of, like my mother, when she was studying, she had studying friends, and now everybody has families, but they still meet up once a year. So we still meet, and I'm kind of the lowest class from them, and they are very, some of them are very rich. So they have different beliefs, and they say, they don't understand the thought process of digital property. They say, why should I buy some imaginary coin in the internet if I could buy shares of a company that has actual value behind it? Like they say, actual value is like a machine producing a product. And they, for my generation, like I paid hundreds of dollars that the character in my game has a different color. That is, saying it out loud, it sounds stupid, but for me, it's like, I want the different color. It looks so cool. I love it. So, and I'll most likely continue doing that. And so I think for my generation and for most likely a lot of other generations coming after me, it will be that you don't have to explain people young people what digital property is. They already grew up with it. But boomers or people that are not that much into the internet, that maybe live a little bit outside or not in the society, that don't use the internet because they don't want to and they don't have to, what is totally fine. I think on the sad part, some of them will be left behind, because if you don't know how technology works, it will be very hard for you in the future. But on the other side,
I don't think so. I don't think they'll get left behind. Technology permeates. So it'll get built into the dollar at the end of the day, is what the Bitcoin standard says.
Mm-hmm. I know people that don't own smartphones and that don't know how it works, and they don't want to learn it. I think for them, it is nearly impossible to open an email And yesterday I was on the UK Telegram chat, and it literally took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to join the voice chat. So I think,
but zoom out. Facebook has 2 billion monthly active users, right?
yes.
So when you zoom out, it's like, wow, that is a lot of adoption.
That is a lot of adoption.
Things, and the dollar's getting more digital every day.
Yes. So I think there's still a lot of education from my generation to the older. Like, I think that is a big problem, especially for me, or I see it especially at work. They think just because they're older, they actually they can teach me things, and that is totally true, and I respect that, and I'm happy to learn as much from them as I possibly can, because it will or may help me in the future, and I may use this knowledge. But I think education is a two-way process, where also my generation can teach them what will be important in the future, because as I said earlier, there's always two, or not only two, but a lot of different points of view. And the more you exchange them with each other, the better everybody can understand the world and life and whatever the fuck is happening right now. And the more different views we have, the more chaos we produce on the one side, but on the other side, we can decide together what is happening. Like, for example, climate change. If you're 90, you don't give a fuck about climate change. You're 90. You hopefully not, but someday we are all going to die. But if you're 15 or 20, then maybe the next 70 or 80 years of your life are going to be fucked. So I think that, or especially in the climate change, the older guys should listen to that, what the younger guys want, and do decision based on what we want, because we do have to live with the consequences that they have brought upon us.
Correct. Yeah, and that's an important difference between and understanding what the different demographics are in the world and how their psychology and onboarding is going to be different. Even the dollar, even cell phones will not onboard everybody, but our goal is to keep onboarding people because we believe in the ultimate purpose of Hex being a tool that allows people to save themselves from themselves, to be more long-term thinking. I'm seeing a lot of FUD in the chat, which is why I stream, is to help educate people. We are in a dip right now. Dips are good because it shakes out the people who sell so that the price can go higher. If there were not dips, then we would not have huge price swings up. The fact that the price can dip is a function of low liquidity. Low liquidity can mean two things. There's going to be a rug pull, or there's going to be an insane price appreciation. And if you are not sure which side you're on, when the founder of this coin said that 85% dips are in the game and 10,000x up is in the game, and both of those things have happened in Hex, you can't control when you found out about Hex. You can't control when you bought it if you already bought it, but you can control whether you stake and then whether you honor that stake or not. In Bitcoin, there were times where you bought and you had to hold for 3 years in order to be up again. Guess what? The longest period in Hex that you had to hold to be in profit was right around 6 months. So the fact that we're in now into what, 2-3 months into a dip makes that this the second longest dip that's happened. It's only when people stop getting scared and selling that the price can go up. So if you're going to get scared by 5 cents, are you going to sell now? Or are you not going to let the price? Are you not going to be the person who pushes the price down to 5 cents? Right. And then you can sell at 50 cents or at $5. The choice is yours. But like Richard famously said once, and I'll keep quoting because it's a good quote. Every raindrop doesn't think he's the storm. You're the problem. If you're ready to sell, you're the reason why the price can keep going down. And if you're ready to stake and hold, then you're the reason why the price can go up. And the people who are more patient are going to be the ones who get rewarded, like in any other financial market, except here, you got attracted because you've seen so many other people doing well. Guess what? All the people who did well held through dips and experienced the exact same feeling you're feeling now or worse. My Hex investment went down 85% because I was in the beginning. Right now, we're down 70% or 75%. That's awesome. It's a good place to be because now you're experiencing the maximum pain before you're going to get, to see the next thing happen. So it's not financial advice, but it's emotional advice to check yourself and to think more long-term.
Yeah. I think shaking out weekend sounds harsh, but nobody wants something bad to them. But I think especially if you don't want an 85% discount, then maybe something like the traditional financial system is better because they have less dips, but they also have less volatility to the upside. And maybe that is a different way of diversification. If you want opportunity, then crypto is definitely, and I'm not speaking from my experience, but from the facts and the charts that I've seen, crypto is a bigger opportunity than the financial market. And that's my understanding. It's not financial advice. Please do your things on your own decisions. But the COVID dip was 40% discount on the large indexes like the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, or 40%. So right now in Hex, you're getting 30% more. It's 70% discount. So I might be just stupid to understand the risk that I'm taking, or I'm just clever enough to be on the right coin, or I was just lucky. I don't consider myself lucky. Yes, I think you can make luck. Well, whatever. But if right now you're thinking, oh fuck, I sell now, I see there's a big hole and we're dropping to 6 cents in the next hour, then maybe the volatility is too hard. Maybe you should diversify and be more safe and start slower. But if you think, fuck it, then stake everything you have for 5 and get the most out of it that you can, because what there's nothing more you can get than getting the most, I guess.
Yeah, it's don't check the price so often, and then you won't get updated when it goes down 10% in a day and then goes back up the next day 15%, right? So when you don't check the price, that's okay, right? And of course, like, everybody's going to have the excitement that that something drew you to Hex and made you believe in it enough to put your money into it, and now you're met with this like disbelief, right? And so the way I could say it in Hex therapy terms, right, is, what is the opposite of fear? Some people would say bravery. But what I would say is, when I experience bravery myself, I feel afraid on the inside, but what I'm doing on the outside, my action is brave. That's where I'm taking action to not act on the fear, but to act on the belief and the faith that I have. And so just because you're brave about something doesn't mean that you're not experiencing fear, right? It means that you're overcoming fear. And so that fear could be telling you one of two things. It could be telling you that you're doubting yourself, or it could be telling you that you're doing the brave thing. And sometimes that's going to be to listen to the people who are confident, such as myself and Sticker Guy. Or it could be just focusing on something else. Go exercise or watch sports or drama TV or something.
Touch boobs.
Hey, there we go.
So it's the best distraction. Like everybody should do it as much as they possibly can.
Good advice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just get a little distance. Hey, to be honest, I look at the chart every day, and I think I look at it more than once a day, and I still enjoy drawing support lines and drawing channels and that stuff. It's because I'm having fun doing it, and not because I have to rely on that fucking line to save my life or to save me from losing money. It's just, yeah, it can go up, it can go sideways, but the most important thing actually is sideways, because if it goes sideways, then time passes, and that's the whole point about being in Hex. Delaying the gratification and slowly winning in the lottery.
Yeah. I like how you put that. And I like this comment as well by Tom Finch. Yes, bravery is having resolve in the presence of fear.
But I need to, wait, what does resolve mean? Give me a second.
Faith. Another thing we can point out is that, guess what?
Oh, yeah, okay.
If you want Hex to be decorrelated from every other market, then that means half the time when Bitcoin goes up, Hex has to go down. Otherwise, it will start to be more correlated with Bitcoin than it was in the past.
Yes.
And then people won't want to invest in it. So literally, you need price volatility to create the things that attract bigger and bigger money to the sector, right? In order for Hex to be independent from other markets, it has to go down when other things go up, so that when other things go down, it can go up.
And if that holds true, that would mean that we have, if Bitcoin continues to go down for 3 years, then that would mean if Hex is doing the opposite, that Hex will go up 3 years and down 1 year. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's not taking into account the magnitude, or maybe it is on like a different axis. But the bottom line, though, is that this is what financial experts look for. They look for alpha. It's called seeking alpha when you find something that's decorrelated from everything else, because it does allow you to diversify your risk and perform better to the upside, because other people are going to try to get into that market until the asymmetrical returns disappear. But in crypto, asymmetrical returns become a function of money creation and price discovery. And in Hex monetizes the time value of money and functions as a store of value better than any other technology and any other money. So that's the use case.
Yeah, because it's designed that way. It is literally, it's designed to be what it's doing. That is, I don't think I understood what I just said, but I just repeat Richard Hart, and that is historically not wrong. To repeat what he's saying. So just if you're scared, just learn more about Hex. Watch the chart. Not only don't watch the price chart, but look at charts from whales only and from look into Hex. If you go to the website hex.com, in the bottom there is there's a different links with little pictures where you can see it's directing you to these websites, and there you have a lot of charts, and then you could watch Quant Gang or Wells Only, or there's a lot of other content creators that explain everything very detailed and with a lot of patience. And as a new guy, I think it is important to, but it may not important to hold because you can just hold, but to understand what you're holding is it may fight the fear if you understand this, and understanding it by learning what these charts are telling you. I think that is at least my my strategy to fight fear.
Yeah,
because let's be real honest with myself. If I would have not been staked, I don't know if I would have held it that long. I really don't know.
Same.
Of course, I would have wanted to, because you have to go through it to deserve the pump. But I don't know if I could handle it. I don't know. But right now I'm forcing myself to handle it, and because I'm staked. And in the meantime, I'm learning why I did this and how it's working. And the more understanding I have, the better I can onboard new users, and the more problems that they have, I can explain. What if everybody is selling? Yes, it's the most stupid question, but I get it every day. So the more you understand, the easier it is to onboard new people, and the better everything up and to the right.
Because in the end, we're separating out and giving people the experience of buying high and selling low. And then eventually, someday, they might learn to just buy as much as they need to save and to ride the wave. So,
yeah. And if you have liquid Hex, or if you're only liquid Hex, and you're panicking and you're thinking about selling, just buy T-shares. They're also on a discount. And then T-shirts are insanely interesting.
Yes.
Everything how it's coded, and that it's actually a chart that is never going down because it's priced in Hex, but then you can't buy it without Hex, and then you need Hex to buy T-shirt. It's
genius.
It is genius, yes. And somebody did a really awesome job doing that, fixing a lot of problems without being a bad guy to this date.
Yeah, and that's people can see the history of that in when Dev Kyle appeared at the first Hex conference.
Who is Dev Kyle? I don't know him. Is he the one that wrote the code, or did Richard actually himself wrote the code?
The code was written by a team of coders, and Dev Kyle did not even write most of the code, but he helped Richard with the game theory.
Mm-hmm.
And help solve the problem of how to basically reverse engineer compound interest so that it takes less calculations on the Ethereum blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if I can find the link to the video. Here it is. Yeah. I'm going to share this link in the chat. It's a 27-minute video, which might be one of his longest videos. He has a channel as well that most people don't know about, but this is the video where he's explaining his role in Hex and explaining what T-shares are and how he helped come up with them.
That is awesome. I will definitely watch it later.
And there's timestamps there too. Oh, cool. It says, I'll share my screen so people can actually see what I'm saying as well. Let's see. So here is the thumbnail, and it says, what was his role in Hex development? Working with Richard Hart and the dev team, outline guiding principles, marketing points, audits, core principle, upward price pressure, longer pays better, compound interest versus simple interest, Hex's approach, the share system, and passive compounding. Is Hex's interest simple or compound?
Oh, wow. That's interesting topics.
Share price updating, longer always pays better. Audit the formal math proofs. Ladders, longer stakes are better for adoption. The share price system, an elegant solution. A beautiful and novel system. Closing thoughts, the Stanford marshmallow experiment. Hex is changing lives for the better. Yay.
Business, I will definitely go through these Hex conference videos. They seem interesting.
Yeah, some of them have timestamps, so they're easy to navigate. And every hour there's the next lineup. And if you go to hexchange.io, it's got the schedule, so you can see who spoke and when. And then if you go to hexchange.live, then it takes you to the playlist. Or you can just go to my channel and be lost.
All day, every day. No, I gotta pee. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
No problem. So people are asking great questions in the comments. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. It's not going to hit itself. And, somebody's asking about my end of the year price prediction. It's $10.01. But I'm not going to change my prediction. That's an aggregate for PHEX and EHEX, and I could be wrong. I am not worried about it, right? Because I'm a long-term staker. Looks like the bottom of Gerardo's regression rainbow for today is like 13 cents. Yeah, some people think that the short term can be predicted. Who knows?
Did you just say that you think that the end of the year prediction is $10?
$10.01.
That's less than 2 months. Is that technically possible?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give some context. I made that call when Hex was 0.7 of a cent in February, and I'm not changing it.
Okay.
So if people want to know my end of the year price prediction, guess what? It's not changing, y'all. And those of you who bought it 0.7 of a cent are probably sitting pretty happy right now. Stop dumping the price. You're ruining it for everybody else.
No, you're giving people like me the biggest opportunity. So Hex already was the biggest opportunity.
Okay.
But the deeper it gets, the lower it gets, I feel the more of an opportunity it is. And
Correct.
The longer, because this is, let's name it cycles from top to bottom, and it is a cycle. Then the longer my first cycle is, the more chance and time I have to get money to work, to transfer it, to get to the bank, to get it into Hex, wait until Ethereum gas fees are low. So actually I the lower it gets, the higher my opportunity is, and the bigger my reward will be in the end. So of course I would love $10 Hex. I would even love $1 Hex, but I would also love 5-cent Hex, and I would also love less than 5 cents.
And I love that you're pointing that out, and that's all very true, right? Like Hex at any price is good for people who are not trying to sell in the short term.
Yes. Do you continue buying Hex?
I do not, because I'm all in. Now, with that being said, what does all in really mean? Well, yeah, if I sold some physical Bitcoins, you know, like not whole Bitcoins, but I've got like like 1/1000th of a Bitcoin on like a bunch of physical coins and stuff. Like that's like the level I have to get down to really like buy more Hex. But right now, what I'm doing is volunteering all of my time to educate people about Hex. So in that sense, I'm like, you know, I'm contributing in that way, being full-time crypto and, you know, doing a lot of things for free. Now, I could charge for some of the things I do, and then I could buy more Hex. But at the end of the day, that makes me feel like a middleman. So I would rather be somebody who can't buy more Hex, but is just getting paid by like, the way I buy more Hex is by staking my principal for longer than I did before.
Oh, okay. So you have the staking ladder, and if the closest stake is ending, you'll just reallocate it to be 15 years, and then so you're actually using the product in the
Yes.
Wow.
That's right.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so I've already experienced that. Right now, I'm living off of the interest from one of my stakes that ended after like a year and a half. And that will get me through until my next stake comes out, that I will restake the principal another 15 years and then live off the interest. So
but
that's the plan.
What's your plan if you have, let's say, in life there can happen something that you can't predict. So what's your plan if your money would be spent?
I have enough money for 6 to 12 months. So then I would go back to work if if like Hex went to 0 or something, like.
Okay, so you just don't have to care at all.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I want that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really hard to get to this point, but now it's awesome because, you know, I delayed gratification so long. I did not buy new clothes. I did not eat out. I said no to adventures and going around the world. And I took that money and I invested it. And then the money went down. My life savings was in Bitcoin, and I went down like 40 or 50 or 60% all in all. And so that felt terrible. It did. And then I had to keep dollar cost averaging in. So that's when that's how you should be hoping it goes. And then at some point you reach escape velocity, and hopefully you're prepared for that too. And that's what some of us in Hex are experiencing, and we want more people to experience that, which is why all of us are out here, you know, like spending our Hex gains on advertising Hex and bringing more people into the system. It's a really beautiful thing, you know.
I need to look at my paper. What
No problem.
Experiment is doing the same. So what is happening in 2024? Is there anything that the like
Bitcoin halving?
Okay, no, something related to Hex. Is there anything?
What? Give me more information.
I don't have more.
Did you just randomly pick that year, or did you hear a rumor?
No, I don't know. On some stream, someone maybe said, "Let's wait in the year." Maybe I'm just missing. Just okay. But if you don't know something, if someone would know it, you would know it. So I think
maybe
it's nothing.
Somebody leave a permanent comment, not just in the live stream, if you know what's going on in 2024 that's Hex related. My suspicion is it's like a YouTuber was maybe, like wanting to hype something or just like experimenting with the idea of like teasing something that's far off into the future.
Yeah, that could be possible. Okay. Do you know how the pulse chain staking will work? Because it or will it be the same like Hex, or will it be different, and when will we know it?
So it's not going to be replacing the staking in Hex. It's not going to give you the same type of returns for longer pays better. It's simply going to be something you can do with your pulse that kind of, I'm not sure that it creates value, but it's like, what's the difference in the end between like farming and, staking? It depends like what type of staking it is. In some cases, people will provide liquidity on like a bridge, and that will either set them up to like have impermanent loss or not, like depending on how the system is set up. But it's my understanding that there are some things that have been announced and some things that are still going on in the private chat. When I look at the private chat, I'm blown away by how smart these 88 people are who are contributing game theory to Pulse. It's truly the most impressive think tank imaginable. And they are going through like everything that works in crypto and incorporating that into Pulse.
So like Hex, the Pulse chain will also have a very deeply thought through game theory, how to use it, and how like Hex.
Yeah, and it already has that, and it's already been announced in a lot of ways, just with the fact that theoretically you're going to be able to give everybody a copy on the PRC 20 side, and then that's going to create an incentive for people to use the Pulse chain and for things to really take off. And I know I was saving this for Quan Gang, but I'll preview it a little bit now. Like tomorrow, I'm going to talk a lot about Pulse chain. I'm going to give a lot of updates. What we heard in the voice chat recently is one of the devs for Pulse chain say that there are 399 nodes already. And those are not made by the dev team. So there are already hundreds of like validators and like test projects going on. That's a super strong sign. It took Ethereum many years to get that, or multiple years. Let's say.
That's impressive. I can't wait to go into that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and that's the name of the episode, is like Pulse Rabbit Holes.
Oh yeah, I saw it on your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I'll be excited.
Cool. Wow. Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you today.
Yes,
so much that I hope we can do this again some afternoon.
Yes, please, Maddie. I'm very thankful that you invited me or that I can be on your show, and that even that I have no big viewership, and I'm very new to the space, that you take your time and that you talk with me and answer all my questions. A very big thank you, and I'm really impressed by the way you communicate and by the way you teach people, and I am very thankful for your personal thing you're giving, because you know everybody has different aspects in your life, and you have your experience as a mental health professional, and I want to thank you very much for you two giving all your knowledge for free to me and to many other people. And I'm really impressed by you and by the whole Hex community, that everybody is so nice and gentle, and that everybody is welcoming the new people with open arms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It really gives me a lot of energy to get positive feedback, and just seeing you put yourself out there really continues to inspire me. Thank you for coming on the show, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's really my pleasure to have access to so many smart people such as yourself, who are asking the right questions and bringing the excitement here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the outro, and then we'll end the stream. Thanks to everybody for watching. Please go to the Sticker Guy's YouTube link below, buy stickers from him so that he can retire earlier than he thinks. Subscribe to his YouTube channel.
What I'm gonna do.
And we'll take it from there. So until next time, everybody, stake wisely, my friends. Peace out.
It's from Maddie ALLin of Hex Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.